The ocean was still half asleep when Electra woke up. Pale dawn light crept through the linen curtains of the beach house, soft and deceptive, carrying none of the fear that would soon swallow the morning whole. For a moment, she lay in the warmth of half-dreams, expecting to feel Will's familiar presence beside her. Their nights had been turbulent lately, filled with conversations broken midway by exhaustion, with questions neither dared to ask aloud, with the unsteady tenderness of two people building something new atop the ruins of every secret that had come before. She reached across the sheets, searching for the comfort of his breath or the weight of his arm draped over her waist, but her hand brushed only cool cotton. Her eyes snapped open. The space beside her was empty. Not slept in but left a minute ago, empty, but untouched, as if he had never returned to bed at all. A chill slid down her spine. She pushed the covers away and stood, scanning the dim room as an unsettling silence thickened. The digital clock glowed 5:12 a.m. Too early for him to have gone out for a run. Too quiet for him to be in the kitchen. Too still for the beach house to hold anyone except her.
Will.
She called out timidly, telling herself she was overreacting, that he was fine, that maybe he couldn't sleep, and went outside for air. But the stillness answered her. She reached for her phone on the nightstand, then froze. His phone was lying next to hers. Will never left without it. Not once. Not when Luna's name still echoed like a curse through every corner of their lives. Not when prison violence was suddenly the headline of every morning news broadcast. Not when Bill, out of both love and paranoia, insisted we'll keep it on him at all times. Electra's pulse kicked hard. She hurried out of the bedroom, her bare feet cold against the hardwood floor as she moved through the hallway. The beach house felt unfamiliar, as though the shadows had shifted overnight. The kitchen was empty. The living room was untouched. The surfboard still leaned against the wall. Everything was in its place, except him. She rushed to the garage. His car sat exactly where they parked it last night. No keys missing. No footprints. No tire marks. Just his phone, abandoned on the dining table like a severed lifeline. Electra swallowed hard against rising panic and moved toward the back door. At first glance, nothing seemed amiss. The latch was still locked from the inside. No broken glass. No sign of a struggle. But when she opened it, a sharp breath escaped her. There, pressed into the wooden threshold, was a single wet footprint.
Bare.
Small enough to be his. The sand clung to it in a faint crescent, glistening with the last trace of seawater. It led down the deck steps, onto the sand, and then, just as the tide would have predicted, disappeared into the shore. Electra followed with trembling legs. The sky was lightening, but the early tide had grown aggressive. The waves dragged lazily across the shore, erasing everything they touched: footsteps, secrets, evidence. "Will," she shouted over the wind. "Will, answer me." The ocean swallowed her voice. She took another step before her eyes caught something near the deck post, a crumpled scrap of paper wedged against it, damp at the edges as though the wind had carried it there minutes before she arrived. She picked it up with shaking fingers, afraid of what she might see, but more afraid of not knowing. The handwriting was messy, slanted, almost frantic.
Anh phải chịu trách nhiệm với con chúng ta.
Electra stared at the words until they blurred. The breath left her body. The world tightened. Every fear she had tried to bury clawed its way to the surface. For a long moment, she couldn't move, couldn't think, couldn't feel anything except cold terror tightening around her lungs. The first thought, almost instinctive, was Luna. Luna had once threaded herself painfully through Will's life, through Bill's family, through everything Electra now held dear. Luna was sitting in prison with rumors swirling that she might be involved in a riot. Luna had never stopped haunting the edges of their happiness. It was too easy to connect the dots. Too obvious. Too tempting. Electra stumbled back into the house, dialing Finn with trembling hands. Across town, Finn had barely finished a restless night when his phone rang. His mind had been racing since news of the prison riot broke. Fragments of medical reports, Luna's fragile mental state, the rising violence inside her facility, and the sickening dread that she might be caught in something far darker than anyone understood. When he saw Electra's name lighting his screen at dawn, he already felt the shape of tragedy forming. Finn, Electra's voice broke. Will is gone. And with that, everything in Los Angeles shifted. The Logan Forrester, Spencer world spun into immediate action. Bill was already dressed before Electra finished her sentence, storming out of his mansion with a rage that bordered on volcanic. Katie's hands trembled as she called every contact she had in law enforcement. Steffi canceled her entire day, driving to Finn's office before he even arrived. Poppy collapsed into sobs the moment she heard, because she knew, instinctively knew, that this nightmare had something to do with the storm Luna was trapped in. And Sheila simply smiled. A small, quiet, almost imperceptible smile, a smile that no one saw but Steffi felt even from miles away, as if the universe had shifted into the gravitational pull of Sheila's chaos once more. Bill arrived at the beach house first, barging through the door with a roar that shook the windows. He grabbed the note Electra found and read it 3 times, each pass draining color from his face. "This is Luna's language," Bill growled.
She's done this.
"She's taken my son." But Finn, arriving seconds later, shook his head. "No," he said firmly. "This isn't her handwriting." Bill spun toward him. "She broke out of prison, Finn. Or she was freed in that riot. Or someone helped her escape." "What do you mean it's not her?" "Because Luna writes with rounded letters, always," Finn replied, pointing at the jagged, erratic strokes. "These letters are sharp, uneven, like the writer was angry or unbalanced. Luna's handwriting doesn't look like this. It never has." Hope and Liam exchanged glances. Katie covered her mouth. Bill blinked, caught between rage and dawning confusion. Electra stepped forward, clutching the note to her chest. "Finn," she whispered, "if it wasn't Luna, then who wrote this?" Poppy, a mother whose world had begun crumbling when Luna was arrested and now shattered entirely, sobbed harder. "Sheila," Steffi said sharply from behind them, entering the house with an icy intensity. "It's always Sheila. Don't pretend she doesn't know something." Sheila appeared in the doorway a moment later, having followed Finn under the guise of concern, though her expression betrayed a different agenda. She looked at the scene with the calm of someone watching a storm unfurl exactly the way she expected. "Well, didn't look like someone who was planning to disappear," Sheila said softly. "But then again, children sometimes act out when they feel trapped." Steffi was on her in a heartbeat. "You stay away. You don't get to insert yourself into this." But Sheila only tilted her head, eyes glinting with interest. "I didn't insert myself," she said.
He did.
"What the hell does that mean?" Bill snapped. Sheila smiled. "Will came to see me last week." The explosion of outrage filled the entire house. Electra staggered back as though struck. Bill lunged forward, furious. Katie clutched her stomach. Finn's jaw clenched with disbelief. Sheila didn't flinch. "He said he needed clarity," she continued. "He was torn. He didn't trust himself. He didn't trust Luna. And he wasn't sure he trusted any of you. He felt like he was drowning under everyone's expectations, under the whispers about Luna's pregnancy, under the pressure of being Bill Spencer's son, under the guilt of choosing between 2 women who both changed him." Electra's heart clenched. "Will came to you?"
Why?
"Why?" Sheila answered with unsettling calm. "Because he knew I wouldn't judge him." Steffi's voice was a razor. "Or because you manipulated him." But Finn saw something else, something more tragic, more human. "Will is struggling," he murmured. "He was overwhelmed." "Exactly," Sheila said, watching him too closely. Bill slammed his fist into the table. "I'm not listening to another word. You had something to do with this. I know you did." Sheila shrugged lightly, the gesture chilling in its indifference. "Believe what you want. But Will is gone. And Luna is missing. And I promise you, those 2 things are connected." Electra felt her knees weaken. Poppy whispered Luna's name like a prayer. Please, please don't let it be her. But Finn, ever the scientist, ever the man caught between emotion and reason, exhaled heavily. This isn't Luna's handwriting. And there's no sign she escaped the riot. If she was involved, we'd have confirmation by now. So, who did this? Liam asked quietly. Finn looked at the note again, at the wet footprint, at the abandoned phone, and finally said the thing everyone had been too terrified to consider. There's a chance Will left on his own. Electra froze. Bill shook his head violently.
No.
He would never. But Finn continued, voice gentle but unyielding. If Will thought Luna was pregnant with his child, and if he thought he was responsible for her pain, he may have left because he couldn't face any of us. Electra's voice cracked. But the note, he may have staged it, Finn said. Or someone else may have used his guilt to manipulate him. Sheila's smile widened. Not triumphant, but knowing. Or, she said softly, someone took him because of who his father is. Bill turned cold. Because that possibility was the darkest of all. From that moment, the mystery arc began. Every episode peeled away a layer. A clue found buried beneath driftwood. A camera feed showing a shadowy figure near the beach house. A hidden drawer in Will's room containing letters no one had seen before. Poppy's confession about Luna's final message before the riot. Finn's discovery of a prison nurse who vanished the same night. Steffi noticing Sheila making phone calls she denied making. A stranger with ties to Bill's past spotted near Malibu. A photo of Will at a gas station, but blurred, uncertain, possibly doctored. The audience would guess. The characters would unravel. And every path led to a new suspect. Was Luna alive and looking for Will? Was Sheila orchestrating a plan only she understood? Was a long-forgotten enemy of Bill seeking revenge? Or was Will's disappearance a self-inflicted escape from the pressure of two lives colliding? The truth twisted deeper each week. Until the final reveal, the one no one was prepared for, the one that would change everything. But for now, the only certainty was this. Will was missing. Luna was missing. And Los Angeles had become the stage for a mystery that blurred the line between guilt, love, obsession, and survival. In the rising tension of the tide, in the echo of the waves, in the smudged ink of the chilling message, the hunt had only just begun. The days following Will's disappearance unfolded like a fever dream, each hour thick with dread, each moment stretched taut by unanswered questions. Los Angeles was too bright, too loud, too alive for a city that now held so much fear. News outlets circled like vultures, hungry for details they didn't yet have but were eager to invent. Gossip whispered through Beverly Hills cafes. Speculation swelled across social media, where strangers chose sides, blamed Bill, blamed Electra, blamed Luna, blamed the entire tangled history that had shaped the boy now at the center of a terrifying mystery. But at the beach house, time slowed to something suffocating, as though grief had wrapped itself around the walls and refused to let go. Electra did not sleep. She haunted the house like a ghost, replaying memories of Will in every corner, his laugh echoing faintly in the hallway, his mug still beside the sink, the indentation of his head on the pillow she had cried into for hours. She carried his sweatshirt around her shoulders like a shield, breathing in the fading scent of him, desperate to preserve it before it vanished too. Her mind oscillated between panic and denial, hope and despair. She thought of the nights they stayed up whispering about futures that suddenly felt naive. She thought of the guilt hiding behind his smiles whenever Luna's name resurfaced. She thought of the way he held her hand with a trembling sensitivity that she dismissed as nerves but now recognized as fear. Fear of things she had not understood. Fear of burdens he never dared share. Finn watched Electra carefully, afraid she might shatter beyond repair if he gave her a single piece of truth too sharp to swallow. Poppy clung to him for reassurance, but he had none to give. The riot reports from the prison came in disjointed fragments, each more disturbing than the last. A fire had broken out in the West Wing. 2 guards were hospitalized. 1 inmate was missing, though the authorities refused to name who. Medical files were compromised. Someone had accessed the psychiatric wing records moments before the chaos began. Luna's name appeared on too many lists for coincidence. Finn's medical instinct told him someone had used her, manipulated her vulnerabilities, pushed her toward something destructive. His heart, still tangled in empathy despite everything, told him she might be the victim of a far deeper conspiracy. But none of that brought him closer to Will. Bill Spencer, meanwhile, had turned into a force of nature. Rage gave him clarity, and fear gave him motive. He weaponized both until the city trembled beneath his intensity. Bill interrogated prison officials, government contacts, reporters, old enemies, anyone who so much as glanced at him the wrong way. He offered money, threats, promises, anything that would pry open the truth. Katie tried to calm him, but grief sharpened his edges until he was more dangerous than anyone searching for Will. He blamed himself more than he would admit. Because deep down, Bill always feared that his sins would come back for his children, and now perhaps they had. Steffi had become Finn's shadow in all of this. Her instinct to protect, to analyze, to eliminate threats kicked in the moment the note surfaced. She studied every detail, every curve of ink on the paper. She watched Sheila constantly now, tracking her like a hawk circling prey. There was something too controlled about Sheila's behavior, too clean, as if every reaction was calculated for maximum effect. Steffi knew the pattern. When Sheila was calm, she was plotting. When she smiled, she was dangerous. And when she claimed innocence, she was lying. Steffi didn't know how yet, but she was certain, absolutely certain, that Sheila was involved. What unsettled her the most, however, was that Finn could not bring himself to agree. Not fully. Not with conviction.
Not the way he used to.
The doubt creeping into their marriage was subtle at first, a hairline crack in their shared foundation. But as the hours crawled into days, the crack widened. Finn could not dismiss the possibility that Will had vanished by choice, not force. Steffi saw this hesitation as naive, even reckless. Sheila saw it as opportunity. And Finn himself felt torn between his medical ethics, his instincts as a father, and the lingering scar tissue from Sheila's manipulation of his life. The first real clue emerged on the third day. Detective Sanchez arrived at the beach house carrying a manila envelope, his expression neither promising nor hopeless, just grim. The kind of grim that prepared loved ones for the worst before saying it aloud. He laid out printed screenshots from a gas station security feed 2 towns north of Malibu. The footage was grainy, but a young man resembling Will appeared beside a vending machine, hood pulled low, face half covered by shadows. Electra's breath caught. "That's him," she whispered, but her voice cracked with uncertainty. Bill squinted, jaw clenching. "It could be anyone." "It's him," Electra insisted, more desperately this time. Sanchez raised a hand, urging calm. "There's more." He slid another image forward, the boy walking away from the camera toward the back of the station, where the feed abruptly cut to black. Electra leaned in. "Where did he go?" "The camera died," Sanchez said. "But the timestamp matches the window of his disappearance." Katie asked the question, trembling in all their throats. "Was he alone?" The detective hesitated too long. Then he placed another photograph on the table. A second figure stood at the edge of the frame. Taller than Will. Wearing dark clothing. Face turned away. Body posture obscured. The only identifiable feature was a strand of long dark hair caught in the wind. Poppy gasped before she could stop herself. "No," she whispered. "No, that can't be." Steffi's eyes darted to her instantly. "You think it's Luna?" Poppy covered her mouth as tears filled her eyes. She shook her head.
"Once. Twice.
Again. I don't know. I can't tell. But the hair, it looks like hers." Bill's fury reignited as if fueled by gasoline. "If Luna touched my son, if she dragged him into this chaos, I will make her regret ever being born." But Finn stepped forward, voice firm. Luna wasn't free.
She couldn't be.
The riot ended. The prison was locked down within minutes. "There's no evidence she escaped." "She's missing," Bill snapped. "Missing is all the evidence I need." But Finn pointed at the photo again. If Luna was involved, she wouldn't hide her face. She wouldn't leave a threatening note. She wouldn't play games. She would go straight to Will. She would run with him. But this feels staged. Planned. Steffi's gaze hardened. Or it feels exactly like something Sheila would orchestrate. Sheila stood near the doorway, arms folded, expression unreadable except for the faint shimmer of satisfaction she barely concealed. "I was at home that night," she said. "Ask anyone. Check my phone records. I didn't go near the beach house." "You don't need to be physically present to cause chaos," Steffi hissed. Finn stepped between them quickly, tension sparking like electricity. His voice was soft but strained. "This isn't helping. Will needs us focused." But with every passing hour, focus splintered. Hope and Liam joined the search, combing through online clues, coordinating with reporters. Eric's health wavered from stress, forcing Ridge and Brooke into a balancing act between family duty and frantic worry. Thomas offered support quietly, sensing the fragile emotional threads tying everything together. Even RJ stepped in, using contacts in the tech world to track digital breadcrumbs from Will's last known location. As the days progressed, the mystery deepened. Each new lead carried contradictions. A surf instructor claimed he saw Will walking along the coast alone. A fisherman swore he witnessed a woman dragging someone into a boat. A homeless man near the pier reported seeing a boy crying into his hands. A prison guard leaked that Luna screamed a name before the riot erupted, though no one agreed on what name it was. Every clue contradicted the last. Every witness widened the fog. Every theory spawned two more. But the note haunted them all.
Anh phải chịu trách nhiệm với con chúng ta.
You must take responsibility for our child. There was no greater weapon than guilt. And whoever wrote the note knew exactly where to aim it. On the fifth night, something shifted again. Electra wandered the shoreline alone, ignoring Bill's warnings not to isolate herself. She walked barefoot along the tide line, letting the freezing water numb her skin while tears blurred her vision. She felt responsible, though she didn't know for what. She felt broken, though she didn't know how to heal. She felt abandoned, though she knew Will hadn't intended to hurt her. She believed, because love made fools of all people, that if she listened hard enough, the ocean would return him to her. That was when she found it. A plastic bracelet.
Worn. Dirty.
But unmistakable. A hospital band. Finn arrived moments after Donna called him, and he took the bracelet gently from Electra's hands. His face went pale as he read the names smudged across the strip. It didn't belong to Will. It belonged to a patient from the psychiatric unit of the prison. A woman connected to the riot. A woman who had not been accounted for since the chaos. Her name was Marla Jennings, a known associate of a man Bill once ruined in a hostile takeover. A woman with a violent record. A woman whose last known visitor before the riot was Sheila. Steffi's breath stuttered. Finn stared at the bracelet for a long, heavy moment. Then, for the first time, he whispered aloud what he had refused to believe until now. "Sheila, what did you do?" But Sheila insisted she had nothing to hide. She claimed she had visited Marla only to provide emotional support, a story so painfully transparent that even Finn's compassion cracked under its weight. There was too much coincidence, too much precision, too much of the unmistakable pattern Sheila always left behind. Broken trust, planted clues, twisted narratives. Yet the mystery refused to end with her. New evidence placed Marla near the prison gate minutes before the riot began. A guard claimed she had whispered something about settling the score before disappearing into the chaos. Another inmate reported seeing her talking to a young man days before her escape, a man matching Will's description. And then Finn uncovered the detail that turned every theory upside down. Marla Jennings had a daughter. A teenage girl, close to Will's age. A girl who had written dozens of letters to him from a hidden account. Letters full of anger. Letters full of obsession. Letters referencing Luna. Letters demanding he take responsibility for something. Electra's blood ran cold. Finn whispered the truth slowly, cautiously, as if speaking it too quickly might reignite the fire. This might not be about Luna. It might not be about Sheila.
It might not be about Bill.
This might be about someone else entirely. Someone who thinks Will wronged her mother. Someone who wants revenge for something none of us understand yet. Electra's voice trembled. Then what happened to Luna? Finn's eyes hardened with painful clarity. That, he said, is the part we haven't uncovered. Meanwhile, in a dim, cold room somewhere far from Malibu, Will Spencer finally opened his eyes. His head throbbed. His wrists burned. His breath came shallow and quick, fogging the air in front of him. A faint light flickered overhead. The smell of salt water mixed with gasoline stung his nostrils. He didn't know where he was. He didn't know how long he'd been unconscious. He didn't know if he was alone. But slowly, gradually, he became aware of a presence in the corner. A girl, watching him.
Silent.
Expression unreadable. Her voice, when it came, was low and controlled. You ruined my mother's life. Will's pulse spiked. I'm here, she continued, to make sure you learn what responsibility really means. And somewhere miles away, in a different building, in a different cell, Luna Caden opened her eyes too. Her wrists were tied.
Her body bruised.
Her memory fogged. Her voice cracked when she realized she wasn't in prison anymore. And her first thought, the only thought she could form, was Will's name.